Hi everyone, and welcome to The Human Condition. My name is Arza Youssef, and I'm a human on Earth, making the best out of life that I can. The human condition is something that we all experience every single moment of our lives, and I want to take some time to address what some of those things are. Let's start by defining what the human condition is. The human condition are things associated to the experience of human existence, like birth, growth, emotions, ambitions, conflict, and even our own mortality. So, you know what? I don't like being static like this. So let's keep it real here a little bit. So to have this conversation just in a more of an authentic way, let's really just kind of dive into what is the human condition? How are we all experiencing it, right? I think within the last year, everything that we've experienced with the pandemic, with the lockdown, it's really made us all kind of reflect on life a little bit. And it's taken us out of our kind of existence in the cog of life, right? Get in your car, go to Starbucks, get your latte, get stuck on the 405 traffic, get to your office, you got deadlines to meet, all kinds of things. What has happened to our experience in the last year has kind of shaken us. And it's caused us to kind of reevaluate life a little bit, reevaluate how we work, reevaluate how we interact with the world around us, with our friends, our families, the relationships that we have. And I think this is as challenging of a time that it's been, and this experience, it's really opened our eyes and given us a second chance to decide how we want to experience life on Earth this time around. Now, the human condition specifically, so many philosophers, religions have addressed the human condition through those different means of ideologies and understanding. In Buddhism, they addressed it as the human condition boils down to human suffering, that's what life is. It's a series of sufferings. And again, going back to this last year, a lot of us have suffered. So it kind of makes sense. And in the Buddhist tradition, the answer that Buddha came up with was the Eightfold Path. People that follow the Eightfold Path can find some level of neutrality or some level of peace away from the suffering. So, and then of course in different religions and, Christianity, for example, it's about we're born into sin, and Jesus died on the cross for the sins of humans, and there's a lot of guilt and shame associated to our existence as humans on Earth. So is there really a wrong or right answer? Not necessarily. Depending on how we were born, and depending on our belief systems growing up, we might already have some pre-existing ideas about life and how life should be lived. But it's always a healthy thing to reflect, to self-reflect, and to reconnect with our inner essence as human beings. There's something to be said about the struggles that we all go through, the emotional turmoils and pains. There's a commonality between all of us that we forget sometimes, that in spite of our differences, in spite of people in different class structures in society, at the end of the day, we all have the same type of basic needs, right? Love, affection, connection, survival, food, hunger. And it ties back into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you guys remember, Maslow also created this version of a way to address human conditioning, or the human condition. And he created a structure of a pyramid where on the bottom part of the pyramid is your basic needs, right? Food, water, air, shelter. And you can't get to the next level in society unless you have your basic needs met. And then of course it's work and education, family, and then as you go up on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you get to self-actualization, So, one thing that I do want to address that kind of has been on my mind is the class structure of society and how it plays a role in human condition. We have different types of structures all over the world, right? We have the UK, which operates as a monarchy, and even they have evolved. It's not a traditional sense of the monarchy. They're kind of run like a corporation. And here in America, we are a democracy. And I'm not going to get into politics in case you guys are wondering. But, we've got a class structure here too. And, we've got the upper class of people that are typically educated, have generational wealth, and they live a different kind of lifestyle. They have different types of concerns and worries. And those are typically people that definitely have their lower tiered needs met, if you're going to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So they're definitely in the higher aspect of that pyramid where success and self-actualization lies. From a societal standpoint, there's also a spiritual aspect, and that's a different part of this conversation. And then you have your middle class people in the community, the workers, the people that go to the jobs and the corporations, and your salespeople, your accountants, your lawyers, your doctors. This kind of makes up your middle class of society. And you have the lower middle class, middle class, upper middle class. And a lot of times these are the folks that I was just in West LA and I was just looking around the neighborhood. And if you are part of the lower economic class in society, you might look at this category and think that this is a wealthy 1%. And they're really still middle class. Yes, granted, they have great, big, beautiful homes. It's still considered middle class families. And then you go into the lower economic bracket of society. And for example, I'll bring up Los Angeles. We're talking about Compton. We're talking about South Central LA. We're talking about parts of downtown. And, you have a lot of people that are not even getting their basic needs met, like food and shelter and water and safety and family. So we're all coexisting. We're all coexisting in a county or a state or in a country. And we're all experiencing human suffering in a different way. For some, human suffering could be a loss of a job and temporary unemployment. For somebody else, it could be a hit in the stock market, filing for bankruptcy. And for some, it truly is getting by through the day-to-day of finding a meal and basic survival. And we have to, as a society, ask ourselves, why? Why is that the case? Why is that happening? And if you're not in touch with yourself, if you're not experienced with people from different experiences than yours, you're not going to understand. And you're going to judge them based on your experience of life. And if you're somebody that grew up in a household with your family, with a level of discipline, tough love, to go out there and make something of yourself, and you did, you're going to judge everybody else according to that standard, thinking that, well, I did it, so why can't someone else do it? And that's not fair. We need to understand that people are different. People's experiences are different. If you are growing up in a way of life where you have a broken family, you don't have access to a strong support system, parents that care about you and love you, not everybody has that. You're going to grow up without the basic bottom layer of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Your life is going to be a struggle. And oftentimes I talk about the foster care system a lot. These are kids that, through no fault of their own, Paul Free says this a lot, but through no fault of their own, they have been put into foster care because maybe their parents were on drugs, maybe their parents had a mental illness, couldn't take care of them, maybe their parents went to jail, maybe their parents were abusive. Whatever the case was, these innocent children were taken out of that unsafe, unhealthy environment, put into a house with strangers, or put into an institutionalized setting like foster care, and hope for the best. And unfortunately, the best is not good enough. And these are kids that end up languishing in the system, end up aging out of the system, becoming homeless. Their homeless rate is so significantly high. And it's because they don't have those basic needs met. So it's kind of important to have compassion for people that didn't have your life experience. They're experiencing the human condition in a much different way. So having some compassion for others is really important too. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this topic, I'll be covering this as a mini-series for the next few weeks on Mondays at 7 Pacific time. If you want to stay in touch with me, you can do so. Follow me on Instagram. My handle is @thearzoyusuf. You can always check out my website, www.arzoyusuf.com. I look forward to connecting with you.